black and white, even with the name of the podcast, right? Like you're either fabulous or you're not.
Right.
And so how are you defining fabulous?
Right.
Exactly. Yeah, we need to maybe reframe that just a little bit. And with that, we're gonna pivot just a little bit and talk about the work that you're doing. A question that David and I have had for a long time, and I don't know that we're ever gonna be able to wrap our head around it, but why do arguably, according to some studies, the LGBTQ plus community has a purchasing power of $1.4 trillion. That is a lot of money, and we could do a lot of good with that money, even if we just spent 1% of that on nonprofits, on electing politicians who would have better service. The list can go on. Why do you think so many social services organizations struggle financially when we have all this, I guess, dual income, no kids income?
Yeah, I mean, I think it's a couple reasons, and I can even just go back historically. HMI was started in 1979, and we actually, in that moment, there was wealth in our community, and it was considered if an adult had given money to our organization because our identities are so over sexualized in who we are, you were considered a pedophile. And that there was less than good intentions in supporting our communities. I think there's a little bit of that there still in fringes, especially communities that kind of grew up through that.
Mhm.
The other piece of it is that there are so many nonprofits. Like when you look at just the scale of the industry, it's the third largest employer in the U.S. economy.
Gotcha. There's so much to unpack there, and we only have so much time. But
Right.
I'm curious. Then, does that maybe how do we become more efficient to therefore become more effective? Does that mean maybe all the nonprofit leaders need to get together and figure out how do we like coalesce and maybe trim some of the fat and work together better? Or what suggestions would you have? You're the expert.
Yeah, I mean, I think there's a few things, and in the it's also varying on the nonprofit sizes, right? Like I think the model of an HRC versus an HMI, right? Like when you look at all the things an HRC or an ACLU can do in terms of their size and their capacity versus a small community-based organization, I think the smaller community based organizations that have stayed through a longer period of time always do that, partner with
Mhm.
organizations in terms of service delivery and in terms of providing service to their community. But I kind of grew up in nonprofits on the fundraising side, and we're all competing for the same money to do it. And
Mhm.
so there's not the last time that there was just money in mass for LGBTQ populations to do all the things they need was in the HIV crisis.
Mhm.
And so that was just help the community figure out what it needs. But now, in order to serve our community, which are whole people that have all of the needs that people have, you're having to figure out how to get housing money, how to get mental health money, how to get education money, how to get food money, all of the different things. And we're all competing for that. And so part of it is being able to work together and be like, okay, in this moment, this is our lane. This is going to be your lane. How do we work together?
Mhm.
I think the smaller ones have been doing that for a very long time. And then also as funders, understanding at all public and private levels of funding, understanding that the bigger an organization you fund, the more overhead is being taken out by that organization. And if they're partnering with an organization like HMI or something, a smaller organization, that at least 20 or 30% of that gift is being taken to manage the gift before it even gets to direct service providers. And so I think there's a
Mhm.
right sizing opportunity because we don't have a lot in the middle. We have huge and we have very small.
Mhm.
And
Yeah.
so I think it's not right sizing the efficiency that we all need to be kind of closer to the middle.